All right, here we go. Part 2 of our incredible interview with J3. Who's J3? Come on. Go watch part 1 and then come back. But for those of you who already did, here's part 2. But I want to ask you this question that very few people ask during interviews, which is my opening statement to people who say, what's it like? I talk about failures.
Yeah.
We can all talk about these great successes because if you've lived this long, we've had great successes.
Yeah, you have to have had them.
You can't not, because you
would
have been at this point, you would have been selling cars. So give me some of the, like, you looking back and go, holy shit, I can't believe I maintained a career after that. And how did you come back from it?
Well, I mean, the first big one was just not getting a record deal. Was like my dreams, my desires as like a singer, songwriter, band leader, just going up in flames. And I'm sitting there, I'm like 29. I put 10 years into this one thing after having already done all of this stuff. And I was like, I have to let this go. Like, it was crushing. It was really depressing. And you know, Tommy, of course, kind of saved my ass from that and changed my life. But then after we do that 2-3 years of touring and this huge high, you know, we're playing Ozfest, we're, you know, hanging out with Ozzy and, you know, all of this shit, and come home, I don't have a job. And all the cover bands I used to play in are like, they're all filled up with people like, and they think I'm going to leave, so they won't hire me. And I'm like, fuck, you know? And it's kind of where doing the sound thing sort of fit a little better than trying to maintain, you know, sort of a double life as a player. But that was a real buzzkill to come home, not have any work, have to pay rent, and have no way to do it. I was like, you know, ended up getting in a few more bands that did pretty well, in, you know, which I helped them do.
But that moment, we all say that so simply. And then I found this, and then I moved into that. But there's that moment in time.
No, that moment was absolute panic. That moment was depression, panic, lots of booze, you know, like just not good. And again, you always have the people that have been sitting there, whether it's your grandmother, when are you going to get a real job? You know, I heard all through the 80s, when are you going to cut your hair? You know, I have to tell you this because it's like perfect. My grandmother, you know, this is my mom's mom, Italian, you know, we used to watch TV when I was a little kid, and it didn't matter how much success I had. When are you going to get a rip? You know, when are you going to cut your hair? She called my mom, is he still doing that? Is it a phase? So finally, like, they're way older, and I had done the Tonight Show for the 3rd time, and I had met Betty White. So not only had been on Jay Leno's show three times and met like Robin Williams and, you know, all these people, but it's Betty White and Ryan Reynolds, like kind of before Ryan Reynolds blows up. This is 2010, and I took a picture with Betty White, and my hair was red and her dress was red, and it was like, I'm like, I'm going to show this to my fucking grandmother. She's finally going to understand that I made it. And I bring it home, and I printed out a picture for her and put it in like a thing. And she was looking at it like it was, she didn't even know what I was talking about. I'm like, that's me. And that's Betty fucking White. And she said, keep up the good work. And she's like, that's nice. When are you getting a real job? Oh my God. It just didn't, you know.
It is. I mean, we all live those moments. And it's. I mean, God rest. My parents are both passed, but my mom was a trooper. She stood by me. You know, do what you think is right. She had that heart. She should have been. No. She should have been an artist because she had the heart.
Yeah.
She wasn't. She was a first generation Italian mom and wife. But my dad was blue collar Italian. Go get your job, like you just said.
Yep.
Didn't understand long hair. Didn't understand earrings. Didn't understand.
wasting your time.
Yeah. You come work with me. We'll do cars. Your uncles are all contractors. Go work.
You're
And I was like,
gonna be a mechanic. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I
Like,
mean, but that's how my mother's father was, but he was also an ass kicker. Like he was training horses, racing at Monticello, and then he was the fire chief of Park Ridge, and then he was in the Navy. Like I was like, how did you do all this shit? It's kind of the same thing. I think his life just, he was an airline mechanic at JFK. Like I got to touch the fucking Concorde and almost burn my hand off. Like just. So really, my two grandfathers were huge inspirations from just being really hard work ethic.
Yeah.
Like whatever you're doing, working your ass off to get it, not sitting around going, "Oh, where's my handout?" But without my mother letting me fully like chase this, and also letting me go out and play as a teenager, I graduated high school a year early so I could be playing in bars. Like that's literally
that in itself is it's crazy. The age and people who aren't from New York don't really understand what you just said.
No, summer school 2 years in a row. I had to ride my tents because I was from Park Ridge, but my mom was like, I said, I'm not going to college. She's like, good, but you need to be like in a good school. And so I was a tuition student at Ridgewood. I had to ride my bike to and from Ridgewood to go to summer school every day because my parents were working. I wanted out, and they were trying to talk me out of it, like guidance counselors. Oh, don't you think it's like, my mother's like, he's not going to come here for English and gym for his whole senior year. Like I was already playing in clubs for 2 years. Like I was like, no. So,
So give me the recommendation right at this point, because I'm going to go back to, I want to jump back to where we were, but give me the right now recommendation
for people starting.
14-year-old sitting in front of you who's got creative dreams and says, what do I do? What, give me the essence of what it's going to take for me to move out, to get going, to get into this. Whatever this is.
The good news is now that entry, I think, is much more, not to the industry, but entry to the art of it. You have all this information online. You have all of these resources. You have all of these ways that you can look on YouTube. We didn't have that shit. We had to take the record and put it at half speed and try to figure out what Eddie Van Halen was doing. There was no like cheat code, so that's good. But what's, I think, a negative now, and this is me talking to you and not to the kid. I'll get back to the kid. Is that the sort of the scenes that we had as kids, to have bands in high school, to have bars to play, to have a scene where people went to see live music.
Yeah.
Those have really, really, really disappeared for the most part, like for a lot of reasons. And that is the hard part, that, telling kids like kind of how to do it, because it's the same thing as like being little kids in the 80s and riding BMXs. Like parents don't want to let their kids out of the house now. It's like we were 8 years old. We were fucking 2 towns down on trails, no phones, so. But I think the thing is to, first thing I say to a kid, if they say something like that, or their parent says something, they'll be like, well, what do you like? Like, what music do you like? I start with that, because I can say that I had one particular musician that kicked my ass into really taking this path. Not just, a lot of people delude themselves. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. It's like, not really trying as hard as you need to try. So pick something, and then I can draw from whatever that person says. If they say, oh, I love, they might say Taylor Swift. They might say a hip hop artist. They might say an actor. And from there, I can be like, well, if you go and look at how this person did it, I mean, like Hendrix's story is not that different, other than his becoming the greatest guitar player in the history of time. But, he was banging around in clubs, like couldn't get arrested. He was a sideman. He toured with all these acts. He was playing too loud. He was playing too good. He was dressing too nice. He got fired and started playing clubs in New York City. And it takes, the Animals bass player to sell all his shit and drag him to England, because it wasn't happening in New York.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, I can actually introduce you to Eric Clapton. Like you're gonna blow Jeff Beck's fucking mind. Like, and he went.
Right.
So, but what do you say to a kid like? This is probably the main thing I would even tell the parents. Like, they better love it. Like, you just have to love it, because it you know, we've already kind of touched on that, but the kid is not gonna get the bug to chase it if, you know what I mean? If you're not really, you're going to be sacrificed. Like, I remember I was sacrificing friendships. I was sacrificing relationships. I was never had any money, you know, just to like chase this guitar thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I was kind of pushing in that direction, because I knew that would be the thing, because it is and you use the word sacrifice, which is what it really is, but it really isn't. If you're passionate about what you want to do, and you may never reach that moment.
Right.
You may never reach nirvana that you thought, and you were never going to get the riches. And if you're chasing riches and fame, go find something else, because it ain't here.
Yeah. Yeah. No. It's by, you know, it's sort of like, you know, another thing is that's a good age, or younger is a good age to start doing this, because once you hit 18, 20, 25, you got bills, you got, you know, unless your parents are going to let you live at home for your whole life, it's a great time to do it, because you have all the time in the world to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And
you mentioned a lot of current multimedia access and all that stuff. 2 points that I want to hit on is, one, all that stuff is available if you use it.
Right.
And you have to, you know, we older folkers will say you got to go to the woodshed. You got to go. You got to practice.
You got to learn.
You got to run your scales. You got to sit and run your scales. And, you know, if you're in multimedia and you want to be making films, you got to go out and shoot it. Use this. You got to just do. You can't wait. And the other side is, you got to find you hit it. You got to find a place where your community is. You got to find that
whatever
place.
It is.
Yeah.
It could be anything. Like a lot, you know, I have been in all the touring that I do. I have been, and internationally, I've been really sort of inspired by the things that do survive and do hang on, these little scenes where, you know, you're in England and you're in like a kind of a small town, and they have a very healthy pub scene where like everybody's got their guitars and they're all playing and they're singing songs together, and this one does a demo and da 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 da. Or you're in Japan and you go to these mini bars and all they do is sit there and listen to rock music. They have like, it's like in Osaka, just they don't really have, they're not really bars. They're like private clubs, but they have all this liquor that's like half drink. It says half a bottle of Johnny Red, and then there's 4 Miller Lights, and you just sort of go there and you drink what's there. But it's all about hanging out and listening to music, which is like a really cool fucking thing. But yes, like I'm trying to think of what we all had bands, even in grammar school, there were bands. Yeah. I'm not talking about like school bands. I'm talking about like rock bands. Or you'd go to like the town picnic, or you'd go to Our Lady of Mercy Church, and boom, there was Philocinium, and they're playing Blue Oyster Cult, and you're like, oh my God, the guitar, like, and they were only like 16 or 17, but as a 10-year-old, you're like, fuck, dude, that's the shit.
Yep. Yeah.
So whatever way you can, to your point, whatever way you can surround yourself or get yourself into, for a lot of kids, that's like School of Rock type situations, or these rock camps, which are, I mean, we didn't have access to that. George Lynch wasn't coming to no camp when I was a kid, you know, like to teach me how to play, you know, Just Got Lucky. Like, but any way that you can kind of do that, I've seen, fortunately or unfortunately, like I used to mix a bunch of School of Rock stuff, and it was like at the downtown. It was pretty fun and sometimes pretty cringy, because, and no disrespect, but sometimes you see parents that they wanted to do that when they were a kid, and my kid's going to play the Rolling Stones. The kid's up there in the shirt, you know, and he's got the right guitar, and he fucking hates it.
Yeah.
I got to tell you this quick just on that thing about, and I'm not sure if any of these kids ever decided to do this, but I was doing a school rock thing, and usually they pick a band, right? Each little group picks a band, and they have a teacher who's a guy like me, who's maybe toured or is a studio guy or whatever, who's like, okay, here's the songs we're going to do, da-da-da. This guy comes in, and he's got really young kids. I'm talking like 6, 8, and he's got this girl who's 10, who's the singer, and he's like, we're doing Radiohead. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, just hang on. They're really little. I'm like, I can see that. And they went up there, had 4 guitar players, 4 little boys, and a drummer who could barely reach the house kit. And they were blowing through like Paranoid Android, and they did Creep. And this girl is like, she's not even looking like a lot of pro acts can't go up without a teleprompter or an iPad. This girl's blowing down Radiohead lyrics like it's nothing, like a savant, and crushing the vocal. I'm like mixing OK Computer, like I'm fucking, the guy's like, yeah. It was incredible. It blew my mind. And I don't know if, and like, I think the girl should have maybe like pursued it, but they were 10 years old.
Yeah.
But just that, to the point of working that hard at that age, just to do that. Because I know, because I did it.
Yeah.
To play that shit on stage at that level, to where they all knew their parts, they were in tune, they were in time. This is like pretty sophisticated, wacky stuff. The girl never lost her place. Like, I was like, wow. But that's it. Like, whatever that's the environment. Because you may do it for 3 years and go, you know what? I don't want to do this, or I don't want to work this hard, or I just don't love it that much. That was me in hockey. Like, I love hockey, but once I saw Jimi Hendrix, I was like, I'll watch it as a sport.
Yeah. And that you said it. For me, I get distracted and have with every part of my life. I always liken myself to a dog with a Chewy toy, waving in front of me and then throw it, and I'll chase that. And then I'll get it and go, all right, now what? What do I do with this? And then somebody will, and then I'll go. But I love the fact that you're talking about the young age, and then you were talking about those moments, those eureka moments. And I would say I probably had 3 that are my identifiers at different stages. My youngest, because I have 3 older sisters, was I snuck out of my room at a very young age. I heard my sisters screaming they were watching television in the living, screaming, losing their minds. And I snuck in, and it was the Beatles on Ed Sullivan.
There it is.
And I saw that and went, I don't know what this is. I don't know what's going on, but I want to be part of this.
Yeah.
I didn't say I want to play. I didn't say I want to produce a television show.
It's just the energy. It's just the energy.
Exactly what it was. That started it for me. Then I started playing because I decided I wanted to take drums up, and my family were pretty broke ass. So they went out. My mom was like, okay, I'll get you, a teacher. And my teacher, who was very instructional, very traditional, got me a little wooden block with the rubber pad on it.
Just to,
He gave me 2 sticks, and he was going through my rudiments, and I'm like, dude, this is not. And I'm young.
This is not the Beatles.
I'm maybe like 7 or 8 and going, this is bullshit. I don't want this.
had that.
I don't care about holding my stick this way. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't want to. I want to
smash things. I want to play. So
100%.
We kind of move out, and then probably 6th, 7th, 8th grade, somewhere in there. As you said, I started what my mom used to call a combo. We were in a combo, and we had 2 guitar players, both going through a Fender Twin, and a mic going through a Fender Twin, and I had a Slingerland drum set with a 12-inch kick. Because my mom bought it for me. She didn't know.
That's a rack tom, Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, I found that out. So I spent more time painting the front skin.
Yeah, the logo.
With the name of the band
than
I did actually doing that. So anyway, we get this gig, 8th grade It's the talent show, and we close the show, and we
The
walk
big
out.
time.
And one of my teachers, who was very hip, she was like, "Well, what songs are you going to play?" And oh God, what was the name of the Hendrix tune? So we rattled off this Hendrix song that we were going to. It was nothing. We got the name, but it wasn't the name of. We didn't play that song. So we're in the middle of this jam at this point. We were like fish. We went on for like 30 hours, and we're playing, and the little kids and they're all screaming, and this was great. I had sunglasses on, cool as a motherfucker, and we're playing, and my guitar player loses it, and he starts running this solo, and he wouldn't stop. And he's running it, and he's running it. I'm looking at the other guitar player, and I'm like, well, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you're like, you gotta wrap it up.
And he's just head down, and he's just
he's
crappy. He's in it. He's over there burning, but he's not doing anything. Finally, I took my stick and I threw it at him. He gets up and he stops. So now I got the energy from when I was little. I felt live performance feedback. And I said, this is cool. When I'm a senior in high school, we put on this theater play, and the singer in my band, who was by far one of the most incredible, diversely talented artists I have ever been around. He was an animator. He was a designer.
Wow.
He was a comedian.
All of it.
And he got on stage, and he just blew him away in this character. He also became quite a nut. And he got put away, but none of that. But so the teacher, whatever those people are called, he asked me. He goes, "Okay, you want to help us produce the show." So I got involved on that side of it,
production side,
side, and how it all comes together and what everything is. And I learned that. So I remember sitting in the balcony of this high school in Irvington, New Jersey, which is a little sketchy unto itself.
Especially back then.
Yeah. And I'm watching this show, and I'm sitting up there with him, and I went, this is cool. I don't want to be on the stage. I want to be here all the time.
Making it happen.
Yep. Yeah. And then that got put away. And I move on, blah, blah, blah. Like you said, play guitar. I went to Wisconsin. I started playing 1-3-5 bass. Boom, 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 boom. Playing country. And I came back to Irvington. I'm a bass player. Got to play funk because there ain't nothing else I can do in Irvington. Learn funk. Anyway, I don't want to go through my career.
Yeah. But that's it. It sort of leads you.
It does.
And
you say universe, I say God. I don't know. Somebody keeps me out of trouble or puts me in trouble and then gets me out of it.
Yeah.
And those things that's the game.
Yeah. It's hard to, you don't want to, when you're talking to kids that think they want to do this, you don't want to discourage them.
Right.
But at the same time, as a bit of a veteran, you want to be able to say, I want you to know what you think you're getting into. And, there's a lot of stuff with that. And it all comes back to being happy. You're not doing it to make your mom happy. You're not doing it to make $1 million, as nice as that might be, because that's not going to save you when things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The money. How many people do we know that had more money than God? That's not really it, So, but yeah, just getting it going to where they can feel it. The worst thing is to be doing it and have no feedback. You don't get that moment, or you're never with the right people, or you're just,
And that what you just said, if you're not, and we got to start wrapping this up, but if you're not with the right people and you know it, it's your responsibility to move. You can't, they're not going to come to you.
They're not going to come and fix it.
I always say, all of us who grew up in those bands when we were younger, I know so many players who were phenomenal, but they sat in their garage or in their basement playing, waiting for the A&R guy to drive down their weird street and go.
That was kind of me a little bit too long, and that was why I eventually made the move. It's one of the things that a little bit, as cool as it is, all the Instagram stuff and all these kids playing, it's not the same as getting in a room. Yeah, if the band's playing, sure. But people are just going to sit in front of a webcam and play drums and never do anything else. Worries me a little bit. And one thing I wanted to say real quick, I know we're getting to the end of this. A lot of people that knew me as a musician when I took the job with the Struts, particularly when it went from, this is just mixing to make money. And now I'm like gone. And it's real. And they're seeing them on TV and stuff. And they're just like, oh God, how can you stand not playing? And I'm like, I am playing.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of people have said, like, they're like, oh my God, we looked down at the sound guy. He was like losing his mind. He's like down there, just like, because I'm part, like, I was the fifth member and I really loved my band. And we were really making it happen. There was a lot of incredible moments, like real, like, got to play at Madison Square Garden, got to open for Foo Fighters for a year, got to open for the fucking Who. I was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're bringing, Foos is bringing my singer on stage, and we played with Slash, and like they're jamming. Like, what world is this that this is happening in? And that's the energy, and like however you get it. And I really love mixing. The other parts of being particularly where you're not a walk up and mix, like maybe arena level guy and much bigger artists, but it's a long day. You know what I mean? Yeah. You have to really be able to justify your hour and a half at the end of the night mixing the band to do all the other stuff that you're doing, living in a coffin and, fighting for coffee in the morning. And, it doesn't matter what the weather is. It's, let's unload that semi into the ice, whatever.
Yeah. And just to touch on something, because like I said, a lot of our audience doesn't really know this. The music side of our people do. The film people maybe do. And you're going to get A1s that work in broadcast. 90% of them came from music who are in that. And it's a very different mix. But Natal, obviously one of the gods of front of house, I remember having a conversation with him, and he said something that was so like spot on for me, talking about mixing. And he was like, yeah, well, when this kick is going to happen in this song, I press that in and then I pull it back. And then I know to tweak this at this point. That's playing. Yeah.
It's a huge part of it. It's like most of what makes me good at mixing the Struts is I know all of those spots. And I'm literally hand mixing, like nothing is automated. The only thing that's automated is like my effects changing with each song or maybe a special effect, but everything else is by hand. When I know, Luke's got to be out there, my solos are like there is no, like, as a guitar player, I'm like, I want to fucking hear the solo. I want to really hear the solo. I don't want to be like, where's the solo? I see him playing. How come I can't hear the sax? Like, all that shit is, and especially from mixing club bands for so long, you get a horn section, it's all got to be doing what it's got to do. You can't ignore people's solos. You can't like have the drums off at, it's
and everything we're talking about, everything we're talking about goes to the guy, the LD doing the lights, the opera. It's all the same. You have to hit, you have to be there. And it changes. Yeah, everything could be programmed and runs in sequence, but the band's not programmed. They're not playing in sequence.
No.
So you have to, everybody has to jive with that. And if anybody doesn't know what J3 has been talking about, go to a show and go to that spot somewhere in the middle, kind of in the back, and there's an area where you're roped off and there's a bunch of tech.
Yeah,
that's where you're going to find the front of house. That's where you're going to find the lighting director. That's where you're going to. Video Village is sometimes being pushed up front. It used to be
on stage,
way in the back, but now it's in the front. So that's the area. That's the production creative people who are in the middle of that act. J3, this is great, and I think there is a part 2 to this because there's so many things I missed.
We're just getting started.
Yeah, I'm looking over. I got my list over here, and I went,
like,
okay, I got 4 things off a list of 20.
All this shit.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, that's been fantastic, man. Thank you for having me.
We also, as you know, because you're on the inaugural kickoff of it, we have another series starting that is specifically for audio. As you know, On Location is every and anybody in frontline production. We are going to start this other thing that is specifically audio. Studios, front of house primarily, A2s, music A2s on stage, and kind of also break down all those names. And coincidentally, it's called Roadcase Stories because that's where all this shit comes from.
It's where they get told.
It's exactly how we all do it. You know, that's where you meet people, and that's where you swap stories, like you're swapping gold back and forth. And Mikey Fortunato, aka Clams, will join us on that, and then
Clams.
and we'll go from there. But thank you, appreciate all your time, your brilliance.
Oh yeah,
your dedication to the art. Couldn't have asked for a better interview. Love it to death.
Fantastic.
All right, my friend.
Thank you.
Ciao.
All right. Peace.